I'd like to open the meeting up and start the public session. I have one speaker signed up to speak, and that's Ellen Clark. Ellen, will you please step up and state your name and address? Please keep it to 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Ellen Clark. I live at 14 Draper Street, and I am here as the chair of the Promotion and Tourism Advisory Board. Basically, what I want to do today is give you a quick year in review of the board. Early this year, after the city website was completed, our board was charged with promoting the city itself along with the website. We did this through the following promotional items. We had, if you recall, the table tents, which promoted the city as a year-round destination of fun, and they have various general photos on them. And they promoted the website with the website address itself, as well as the QR code that goes directly to the website. We had a city event tent with a back wall and a table cover, which again promoted the city as a year-round destination of fun and had gorgeous photos of the city on it. And it promoted the website with a website address. We also had keychains, and they promote the website address on them. And we made up two, and we're on the third right now, batches of event cards that also say year-round destination of fun. And on each card, there are photos and a list of upcoming events in the city for those 3 months. We are doing these quarterly. We did August, September, October, then this is the November, December, January, and the next one will be February through March. They also have the city website address and the QR code on them. The City of Oswego was represented at most of the events from summer through fall, including Harbor Fest, Oswego County Paddle Fest, Oswego YMCA Dragon Boat Festival, the Fall Fishing Festival, and Super Dirt Week. The Fall Fishing Festival costs were covered by Brookfield Renewable, and they covered our DJ, Nate Emmons, expenses, Joe Thomas, Fishing Pro coming to the City of Oswego, and all the marketing that went along with that. For all of the other events, we had volunteers do everything, which brought the expense for all of this to the city as approximately $3,000. It's not completed yet because we still have one more event card to be printed up. I wanted to thank the committee members, Justin Rudgick, Director of Community Development, Amy Birdsall, Director of Planning and Zoning, Rob Cordino, Council Member, Nate Emmons, Council Member, Greg Mills, the former Director of the Oswego-Fulton Chamber of Commerce, Danielle Hayden, the former Assistant Director of the Oswego-Fulton Chamber of Commerce, Shane Stepien, the President of Step One Creative, Mercedes Neese, Director of the H. Lee White Marine Museum, and Christy Eck, Chief of Staff of SUNY Oswego. Special thanks to the directors of the programs that we went into and had our information represented at. Peter Miles, Director of Oswego Harbor Fest, Chris and Heath Jones, Directors for the Oswego County Paddle Fest and Oswego YMCA Dragon Boat Festival, Julie Pelletier from Brookfield Renewable, Jeff Hackman, Director of Events for Dirt Car Racing, and John Gosick and John McLaughlin, council members that were volunteers, and there were various other volunteers throughout the events, throughout the programming that we did this year. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Miles? You know the drill. Anticipation is just killing.
Never mind. I want to thank you very much for the privilege of talking up here, Mayor, and you aldermen. It's always been a rare privilege for me to come up here and talk anyway. Rare. First of all, I want to give you a compliment, Mayor, about your actions in the past year or so about the cleaning up of the city and some of the landlords who don't want to seem to keep up with things. I have a couple of landlords in mind here who really, they've come up with the fact that they can't fix their properties, okay? There's no money for them, okay? But the one guy's on the phone out in Las Vegas gambling away and say, I can't afford to fix that house right now on 4th Street, by the way, over here. I'm not going to mention his name, John Powers, never mind. Anybody else I can think of right now? Bill, you've done a wonderful job here, okay? There was a movie out a couple of years ago, Batman. Jack Nicholson was the Joker at the time, and he said the city needed an enema. In case you're wondering what an enema is, it's called cleansing. And I'll use that word, cleansing. I think you're doing a wonderful job of cleansing that fire department. Fire Jeff McRobey and get him out of here. He's no good. Thanks, Bill. Thank you, Mom.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Reynolds.
Here.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Bozick.
Here.
Counselor Van Buren.
Here.
Counselor Cordino. All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under the mayor's report, I'd like to offer a year in review summary of everything we've accomplished. I think it's important to, number one, outline everything we've done this year to the public so they know what we do week in and week out and can summarize it in the context of a full year. Also, give the council an update on some numbers and figures for items in which they may have voted on throughout the year so they see the results of their votes and what their yes and no votes mean. So I'd like to add before I start that I think this year is probably unprecedented as far in terms of positivity, in terms of momentum, in terms of success, in terms of accomplishments that the city has seen in recent years. And that's simply goes to show and just goes to show how hard these department heads work day in and day out, how cooperative and well the city council and the administration actually gets along, and I'm very proud of everybody involved, and of course I think we all owe a thank you. I know I personally owe a thank you to the public who put me in this chair, and I hope that they're satisfied with the work from our first year, and I look forward to, I don't know if we'll ever top this year, but we'll sure try in the next 3 years, and I obviously appreciate the overall support of the public throughout the year on various issues. So I think the most notable accomplishment we can all point to of 2016 was the selection by Governor Andrew Cuomo to receive $10 million in funding from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative to transform downtown Oswego. The DRI was a competitive grant application that was sought by many local communities, including the cities of Fulton, Cortland, and Auburn, and obviously we won. Our team submitted a dynamic proposal that included 6 economic development projects, or anchor projects as we dubbed them, and identified opportunities to move our planning and complete streets projects forward. The state of New York recognized the momentum that currently exists in downtown and throughout our community, was compelled by the plans and vision outlined in our application, and selected the city of Oswego as the winning community. I'm proud to report that we constructed our entire proposal in-house with city staff. Again, I'll thank Kevin Caracoli, Amy Birdsall, and Justin Rudgick, who we worked through holidays, we worked through weekends. Justin was on vacation, Amy was shopping for a wedding dress. We were all in different states at one time, I think, and we managed to get it done and worked literally day in and day out to make sure that was a winning proposal, submitted on time, and luckily it all paid off. So we owe a very special thank you, obviously, to Governor Cuomo for providing the city with this extraordinary opportunity and for visiting our community to announce that we won in July. And of course, I'd like to take the time now to invite and encourage the public to attend the second downtown revitalization engagement meeting on January 3rd from 6 to 8:30 at the McRobey Building. Perhaps as happy as I was when we learned that we won the DRI, I was equally as happy when we found out that we would get some relief on some sewer projects and help provide relief to our homeowners on their water and sewer bill, at least move a step closer to providing relief. In that respect, the City of Oswego continues to make progress on the approximately $85 million consent decree project addressing our city sewer system. Like I said, I recognize that city residents are burdened by very expensive water and sewer bills, and that's why our administration took action to raise revenue from the sewer rates of our largest users without affecting ordinary residential homeowners. Historically, the more sewage that an entity used, the less expensive it was. That model was unfair to homeowners who were essentially subsidizing the sewer bills for large entities, most of which do not pay full property taxes to begin with. I worked with the Common Council, specifically Councilor McLaughlin and Councilor Corradino, to implement an adjustment that forces the largest users to pay their fair share for the resources they use without affecting rates for homeowners or small businesses. This is just one strategic step in working towards stabilization of water and sewer rates and finding relief for our residents. In addition to making the sewer rates more equitable, we applied for 2 New York State water grants to assist the city in funding mandated projects. I am pleased that we were awarded the $3.6 million in funding assistance for these projects. And in addition to that, we applied for and received $600,000 for our sewer rehabilitation project. By taking the initiative, seeking out, and applying for these grants and other opportunities, we've taken another step in preventing future water and sewer rate increases. As we all know, addressing our sewer system and our wastewater facilities is vital to our city's future. This year we brought in Camden Group to manage our wastewater operation, which has proved to be an extremely wise move. Our plants have suffered from 30 years of deferred maintenance, and we immediately reversed that trend by investing in our plant and making substantial repairs. We installed chlorine and dechlorinization grinders, a new grinder at the Eastside facility, rebuilt a new centrifuge, installed Wi-Fi in both plants, fixed what they call, and what I've come to learn to know as I-beams, and conducted an asset management plan. These are all votes, again, that the City Council took throughout the year, as we obviously know the financial situation of the city is in, and it takes guts to invest this amount of money into a facility, particularly one that isn't the most flashy or headline-grabbing departments throughout city government. So because of the asset management plan, we now have a plan for our facilities, and will work to enhance those facilities and do the responsible thing by leaving them better than we found them. As you know, I campaigned largely on code enforcement issues and revitalizing our neighborhoods. Earlier this year, and with a unanimous vote from the Common Council, we established a city code enforcement office. The office took a hard stance against blighted properties in our neighborhoods, and we've aggressively confronted negligent landlords in our community, many of whom own several blighted and dilapidated properties. We have a handful of landlords who have no regard for the appearance of their properties, the effect their properties have on neighboring home values, the impact of their properties on neighbors' quality of life, and who take no responsibility for the behavior of their tenants. These are the landlords we've confronted, and the landlords we will continue to hold accountable for their negligence. To assist in these efforts, we've passed several pieces of legislation strengthening our city code and giving our code enforcement department more authority when enforcing the law. Lax code enforcement efforts over the past 30 years have detrimentally impacted the condition of our neighborhoods, but slowly and surely, we will continue to hold property owners accountable and reclaim our neighborhoods. We also successfully pursued and received $150,000 in state funding to combat zombie properties in our neighborhoods. This funding will go towards our code enforcement efforts in addressing vacant, blighted bank-owned homes in our city, further helping us improve our neighborhoods and enhance the quality of life. To summarize, in year 2015, the Code Enforcement Office was in the Oswego Fire Department, where multiple firefighters were out enforcing the city code. To put our numbers this year in context, in 2015, with all of those alleged code enforcers, the department logged 526 reported complaints. In 2016, we logged 1,582 reported complaints. That's an increase of about 300%. In 2015, we reported 974 violations. In 2016, we reported 2,106 documented violations. And as far as rental permits, in 2015, we issued 120 rental permits. In 2016, 902 rental permits. Please keep in mind our code office is a brand new office and still produced significant results. Additionally, our code enforcer was not hired actually until July. To add to the numbers, to the complaint violation permitting numbers I've already mentioned, when you include all permits issued, our code office collected $257,000, an increase of $1,551,000 from 2015. Also a key element of my administration's economic development policy is making Oswego more developer-friendly. We were determined to create an easy one-stop shop for local developers and business owners to use when looking to perform work on or construct a business in the city of Oswego. To accomplish this, we created a system within our code enforcement office with a permit coordinator that streamlined the permitting and development process to help aid residents and business owners and to encourage investment and development in our city. By walking users through the process and answering questions or addressing concerns, we have minimized confusion and assisted in breaking down what constituted barriers to economic development. In terms of economic development, obviously our community development office had some major overhauls this year. In 2016, we focused on laying out and executing a vision for the city of Oswego. To accomplish this, we needed to take advantage of available funding opportunities. In addition to securing the $10 million downtown revitalization grant, our community development and zoning and planning department secured nearly $1 million through consolidated funding application opportunities, including, as announced last week, $590,000 to design and construct 8 capital projects focused on enhancing the Oswego Wrights Landing Marina, West Side Riverwalk, and the Harbor Trail. $245,000 to install traffic calming devices and bicycle accommodations along West Seneca Street between First Ave and Route 104 to the Riverwalk, including curb extensions with rain gardens, signs, planters, and new pavement markings identifying pedestrian crosswalks. We were also awarded $68,000 to conduct a feasibility study for developing a multi-purpose athletic community facility at the existing Crisafulli rink location, and another $40,000 to develop an arts and culture master plan and incorporate artwork throughout downtown Oswego, collaborating with the DRI and other investments being made by our local small business owners. In addition to these awards, the Community Development Office worked to secure $132,500 to develop our Waterfront Development Planning Initiative, which will help the city to capitalize on one of its most underutilized but most valuable resources, its waterfront. All of the funding opportunities I've outlined will offer our city the tremendous opportunity to leverage public funds to spur private economic development, something that my administration is committed to. All told, our city pursued and received, including the $10 million DRI, CFAs, water grants, sewer rehab, anti-poverty initiative, zombie property grant, and others, just shy of $16 million in grant money in 2016. Our Community Development Office also mitigated a $400,000 recapture of funds from a previous 2009 home grant, funding the city would have been ordered to repay due to past noncompliance from the previous administration. Community Development also worked to identify 19 previously overlooked and delinquent commercial loan accounts and worked out a repayment structure for 16 of those 19 accounts. Recouping this money and administering these loans properly allows us to revolve the money and create opportunities for other startup small businesses. As you know, in 2016, I brought in a DPW commissioner from outside of the department, and I must say our city DPW had a visibly productive 2016. We created and carried out a $850,000 paving plan to battle years of neglect and lack of street paving. We worked closely with the New York State Department of Transportation, which allowed the city DPW to pave State Route 104 in the Hillside Avenue intersection, which was in dire need of attention. We have dedicated more resources to downtown Oswego by having a constant presence to help aesthetically beautify the core of our community. The DPW also spent time repairing light fixtures and painting light poles in Civic Plaza, as well as improving the grounds and appearance of City Hall. We have worked tirelessly to improve our parks, expedite brush pickup, improve constituent services, increase overall efficiency, restore employee morale, and enhance the operation of our marina and ice rink facilities. With several other departments, or many of our other departments, were extremely busy this year. Our animal control department, for example, handled 965 animals so far this year. They've had 302 adoptions out of the animal shelter and successfully reunited 110 dogs and cats with their owners in the city. Our police department responded in total to 20,520 calls for service this year, generating 18,208 complaints and making 1,168 arrests. In addition to their work in our neighborhoods and with the County Drug Task Force, our police department conducted 6 taxi details and 2 details partnering with the New York State DMV to combat underage drinking and the use of fraudulent driver's license. It is also worth mentioning that our overtime expense for the police department is $106,000 less this year than it was at this time last year. Regarding our legal department, the City of Oswego so far this year has paid outside counsel $23,375, down from the 2015 total of $92,159 and $154,662 from 2014. We settled 6 outstanding cases left over by the previous administration, and together with the Common Council, we passed and or amended 6 pieces of legislation. Other accomplishments from 2016 include welcoming Super Dirt Week and committing to hosting Super Dirt Week in 2017, creating the Anti-Poverty Steering Committee and Anti-Poverty Task Force, restructuring, as I said, the Community Development Office, emphasizing economic development, created and executed a 5-year comprehensive capital investment plan to better anticipate projects and ensure fiscal responsibility, established an independent, bipartisan ethics board to enforce accountability and transparency throughout city government, revamped the City of Oswego website, showcasing our entire community. The new website had 65,000 sessions over the last 8 months, 31% of that traffic from within the City of Oswego. We had 47,954 unique users and visitors to the site, and 17,055 returning users and visitors. Our page in total had 156,425 page views. We also addressed the collapse of Route 48 by pursuing and securing funding for 95% of the total project cost, with construction still slated for fall of 2017. We addressed existing violations which has existed for more than 3 years by finally sending some of our DPW supervisors to obtain Grade D licenses. We unanimously passed an on-time 2017 city budget, absorbing a $1 million deficit. We reinstated the winter parking ban, and our city clerk's office conducted a dog census by mail, resulting in 1,086 new dog licenses, along with 1,027 renewals, generating $23,971 in revenue. To put that into context, in 2015, we issued 254 new licenses and renewed 961, resulting in $13,600 in revenue. In conclusion, I'd like to thank all the city employees who helped the administration carry out our vision and perform to our expectations on a daily basis. And of course, I'd like to applaud and acknowledge my department heads, particularly those who came tonight, and extend them a round of applause. I'd also, of course, like to acknowledge the Oswego Common Council, who have been extremely cooperative and have stood firm through some controversial votes and issues, and have represented their constituents well. I'm extremely fortunate to be paired with a council and individual counselors who work to get things done, ask the right questions, seek out answers, and work with me to move the city forward rather than play party politics and grandstand. I appreciate and value each of you, and certainly do not take your support for granted, and I'd like to offer the City Council a round of applause as well. Thank you. With that, again, I'd like to thank everybody, thank the public, of course, for what I would call a successful year in 2016, and I look forward to the 2017 year being just as successful. Any counselors have any other comments? Counselor Walker.
Thank you. I'm finishing up my 9th year on this council, and this has been the most productive year I've seen since I've been on the council. Like different projects we've been doing, as you spoke on. And I would personally like to thank the mayor, the council, department heads, all city employees for doing a wonderful job this year. And again, thank you all.
Thank you. Counselor Corradino.
This is my 12th month on the council. And I have to say that it was one of the fastest, most productive 12 months of my career. I echo the comments of the mayor. I mean, when you hear all the numbers and statistics, it was a whirlwind year, no doubt. Accomplished a lot. As with any company, there's a CEO, and that CEO sets the tone for any business, whether it's an IBM or Chevron or Disney. And Mayor, you did set the tone early on in January for the council to step up and get things done. And we did, and it wasn't easy. We didn't always agree, obviously. But I do want to take a moment to thank the three returning councilors from previous years. I call us on this side the freshman four. This is our first year. We just finished our four horsemen. But the freshman four, we couldn't have done it, the four of us, without the three of you, because your guidance, your leadership, your experience really played a big role in our success and the whole council's success. So I want to take time now to thank you personally, the three of you, for helping us. And with that said, I'd like to build on the momentum of 2016 and continue in 2017. I'd like to see if we can top 2016. Maybe we can win $15 million in some Hunger Games that the governor comes up with. Who knows? But thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilor Gozick.
Thank you, Mayor Barlow. Again, just to echo the sentiments of Councilor Walker, Councilor Cordino. It has been a great learning experience and a great honor to represent the people of Oswego this first year. I think we've got a lot accomplished, and the mayor came here with a plan. He had a strategy for success, and I think the council has worked together to cooperate. Years past, people know how the partisan politics have hindered Oswego and kept Oswego down, held Oswego back. And I think I commend this council for working together, moving beyond partisan politics and helping to make Oswego a better place. But I also wanted to mention one thing I don't think we mentioned, that this year we lost one of the greatest Oswegonians, longtime tourism director, and his Fred Crisafulli, veteran of the Korean War, and Fred passed away recently. I just thought anybody who knows him from Oswego, I mean almost everybody and anybody would know Fred. And I just wanted to mention the last time I seen Fred a couple years ago, I was out rollerblading down by the lake, and I seen Fred pull up. I was wondering, couldn't believe they were still letting him drive. But there he was. He pulled up, and he stopped his car, and he opened up the trunk of the car, and he got out, and I had my little boy in the stroller, and he came over, and he came over, and he gave us a Navy hat. I mean, for all I know, it was his brother's hat. And if people here that don't know, younger people in the crowd, Fred's brother was the first Oswego soldier that was killed in World War II from Oswego. The Crisafulli skating rink is named in his honor. There's a little park down by, right down at Wright's Landing, dedicated to Fred. When my father was mayor, he dedicated that park to Fred Crisafulli. And I just wanted to ask for a moment of silence for Fred. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other comments? Counselor Emmons.
I have a slightly different topic to talk about, but congratulations to us all. That's all I can say. But just to remind folks, if you haven't noticed outside, it is wintertime again, and the snow is back on the ground. And being a parent of 4 children, 2 of which walk to school, I'd just like to gently remind everybody that it's important to clear sidewalks out in front of your residences, because there are lots of kids that do walk to school, and I would rather see them walking down the sidewalks than walking down middle of the street, which I'm seeing kids, including my own, having to walk down Bridge Street on 104 as opposed to the sidewalk. So we could all cooperate and clear out our sidewalks, greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call Resolution 433.
To approve the minutes from the Common Council meeting held November 28th, 2016.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 434.
To approve the use of city property by the Oswego Fiber Arts Studio Group in order to place gift bags in public parks for their Random Acts of Warmth and Kindness event to be held in January 2017.
Counselor Van Buren, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 435.
To authorize the mayor to execute agreements with Logix LLC and Impact for accounting and public safety computer systems.
Counselor Cordino, Counselor McLaughlin. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 436.
To authorize the mayor to execute a 3-year contract with Camden Group Incorporated to provide consulting and staffing support services for the wastewater treatment facilities.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 437.
To authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with the County of Oswego through the Oswego City County Youth Bureau for reimbursement from the AmeriCorps program.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 438.
To authorize the mayor to sign the proposal submitted by GHD Consulting Engineers LLC for the SCADA maintenance contract for the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant Dechlorination System Upgrade Project.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 439.
To authorize the mayor to sign Amendment 2 to the professional engineering agreement with GHD Consulting Engineers LLC for modifications to the combined sewer separation second 25% Phase 2 project.
Counselor Cordino, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 440.
To authorize the mayor to sign Amendment Number 7 to the professional engineering agreement with GHD Consulting Engineers LLC for modifications to the sanitary sewer rehabilitation project.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 441.
To approve extensions of office hours at the animal shelter.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor McLaughlin. We're extending the hours of operation to include Thursdays, 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. Viewing hours would be 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then we would do Saturdays by appointments from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is obviously to give the public more time and more opportunities to stop in, look at what we have at the shelter, maybe adopt a pet. I would encourage you to adopt a pet. We have a lot of cats. I was just there last week, a lot of dogs. It's really a nice facility with some nice animals. So go take a look, and I promise you, you may not walk out empty-handed. Clerk, any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 442.
To approve the transfer of funds from within the East Side wastewater treatment plant.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 443.
To approve the transfer of funds from within the West Side wastewater treatment plant.
Counselor Cordino, Counselor Emmons. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 444.
To waive the rules of the Common Council to present Resolution 445.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Van Buren.
A point of order.
Go ahead.
This Resolution 444 proposes to waive the rules of the Common Council to present Resolution 445 off the floor without committee consideration. Rule 7 of the 2016 Rules of the Common Council indicate the nature of this rule, how it's to be applied, and in this case, believe it is being proposed appropriately. Rule 7.3 states that the Common Council may waive Rule 7, Paragraph 2, which requires that the resolution be placed before a committee before it's taken up by the entire council. At any council meeting, in order to consider matters that require action before the next scheduled committee meeting. Well, first of all, there is no next committee meeting scheduled for 2016. And then the proposed resolution 445 seeking to rescind the sewer contract with the town of Oswego for the Ontario Heights Sewer District does not address what required action is needed. I'm just not seeing what the requirement is to act at this point in time on this resolution. You know, examples of actions that we have taken this year that require action before a next meeting would be a grant application where there's a deadline before the next meeting, and we collectively have indicated that this would be a good idea to do, so you've waived the rules. Entering into a court-ordered or court-facilitated settlement of a legal action that has a time frame attached to it, something along those lines that is required, the action's required to be taken before the next scheduled committee meeting. Here we have a contract already in place that actually went into effect with a retroactive start date of October 1st, 2016, and continues until September 1st, 2018. a contract for more money to the city of Oswego and stabilizing a contract that was left to expire by the past administration and councils. Taking this action is contrary to the rules adopted at the organizational meeting by this very council. And as much as resolution number 379 was adopted on October 11th, that is 3 regular meetings following this meeting is at least, this is the 4th regular meeting following that action. Rule 8, when you're considering a reconsideration of a decided question, can only be done when it is, when that reconsideration of any vote is taken after the second, or rather, it has to be taken at least up to the second regular meeting following that vote. Again, this is the 4th regular meeting. So I think the motion to waive the rules is, in my opinion, out of order. And under Rule 2 of the Common Council rules that are adopted, the mayor, as the presiding officer of this council, has the authority to render decisions on all questions of order that are presented to him. Now, I have no authority to present that question. Only you do. I only advise. But part of my job and duty as advisor for the city of Oswego is to make sure that we're not stepping into a legal action where one can be avoided. And frankly, the action that you're contemplating, again, in my opinion, and not just my opinion, I think Mr. Reynolds gave you the same opinion 2 weeks ago, would be tantamount to breach of contract. So I caution action that's taken without knowing the full ramifications of that action. And I guess I'll leave it at that, but I'm happy to field any questions if there are questions of order or procedure. These are your own rules. They're your own rules that you adopted at the organizational meeting.
Well, yeah, I would say waive the rules and let's throw caution to the wind tonight, because the reason why we're bringing this resolution up is we feel that Resolution 379 was approved by the council under false pretenses, and I think a lot of the council here agrees tonight that the Common Council, if you look at our city charter, controls the property of the city and is the stewards of the property, our infrastructure as well. And tonight, I think that, I don't know what the other councilors think, perhaps one of our veteran councilors with more experience in parliamentary procedure could speak to this, but waiving the rules to me means waiving the rules. They're waived, but maybe somebody with more experience can speak to that from the council.
Councilor Van Buren.
In respect to waiving it because of the time frame, there is a body of government that is acting on the decision of this contract. The question was raised, what was the urgency last time? It was because the Oswego Town Planning Board was voting on a contract that directly affected the outcome of that meeting, that development that was going to be placed hinged on that contract. So I believe that is the same sense of urgency. That matter was tabled because of the decision of our council and because we tabled our decision to take action on that. We've made several attempts to do this in a timely manner and have been stymied with each attempt from legal counsel on this. I've yet to hear, this is the wishes of the council, I've yet to hear an option for us to take the path that seems to be desired by the majority. So, I said at the committee meeting I would be making an attempt to do this by the end of the year if it's possible, and this is another attempt. So I believe, time frame-wise, that was where it would fit as far as waiving the rules, because there is a body of government that is waiting on the decision on what happens with this contract. Our conversation last week was fruitless because the contract was in place, and we couldn't do anything that we were discussing, that there was no option. So, do that, that's where this came from, was to try and get us back so that a contract could be presented to the council through the proper channels so the discussion would be had before actions could be taken. I don't want to take anyone's ability away if they support the project, regardless of what their decisions are on fields, but I think that's really the case. We want to discuss this and have an option to effectively do something about it rather than just talk about something that was done under false pretenses.
Any other comments? Councilor Gozick, I'll raise a couple points that you brought up, because I know I've reached out to you personally. You haven't asked any questions. I know I sent an email to all the councilors. You haven't asked any questions. And I just don't know where you're getting the information from, but or who's putting it in your head to say the things you're saying, but you're not saying the right things if you want to point out what your difference with the contract is. You brought up, so you voted on the contract, and there were two real changes with the contract. The first change was we raised the rates. So the residents in Oswego town pay more than our city residents do, or those who live in the Ontario Heights Sewer District. And the project that you're talking about will pay more per 1,000 gallons than anybody in the city does. You voted in the contract to increase capacity. And I think the sentiment that, or the argument you're giving me, and maybe the sentiment among the council, is that you voted to increase capacity to allow the housing complex to use, right? So, number one, we voted to increase the capacity by 46,000 gallons a day. This was spelled out clearly in the you couldn't miss it, big letters. 46,000 gallons a day. The proposed complex says that they're going to use 20,000 gallons a day, in which the landlord's lobby and you say that's high. So, my argument is, yes, we increase capacity, number one, because we finally can, because of all the investment we've made into the West Side wastewater facility. But number two, we increase capacity not for any one specific project. So if that's the notion, or that's what somebody has you thinking, they just, again, are wrong. And if we increase capacity, and it just so happens that this complex can use 20,000 gallons, my argument is, yeah, that makes sense, but we still have 26,000 gallons out there a day for somebody else to use. And I know you know of other establishments out there now, or other ideas. If not the Oswego Town Supervisor's here, maybe you should talk to him and ask him questions instead of getting one side of the argument, because he can tell you of the potential that corridor has. So, you need to come to the meetings and make your argument getting both sides. And I know I've reached out to you. You have several different opinions here, and that's a good thing. I'm not saying it isn't. I understand you're being lobbied hard. I know you probably feel you're right, and I respect that, of course. The second point you brought up is city property. So, again, I think you're being misled by the folks lobbying you. The folks lobbying you, I've actually had this exact conversation with, and I don't know if they didn't hear me or they just choose or prefer not to listen. But we have a contract with the Ontario, and I'm not lobbying either way of this vote, by the way. I'm just laying out the facts, because you have to make the facts, you have to vote based on facts, not based on rhetoric, because somebody thinks they're going to lose business and are looking out for their own self-interest rather than in their own bottom line, rather than the community. You mentioned city property, and we have a contract with the Oswego Town because of the Ontario Heights Sewer District. The property in the sewer district is that of Oswego Towns. So when you bring up the city council has the right to vote on a hookup for city property, you're 100% right. And if this was city property, you would be 100% right. But it's town property that we happen to have a contract with that sends the sewage our way to our facility. But the pipe in which it's sending the sewage to us isn't our pipe. So, in fact, one of the landlords who I know is lobbying you stood up at the committee meeting and said, because the proposed developer is offering to fix and redo the lifting station to get the sewage to our plant, he stood up and said, don't worry about the lifting station, it's not yours, so it's not your business. Exactly. So which one is it? That side of the argument's convenient when we're talking about the proposed complex upgrading the lifting station that he made clear isn't ours and isn't your business. But then tonight, he told you and sent you here to say that the city council is to hook up, is to be in charge of city property in which this complex would hook up. Well, if the lifting station isn't ours to send it our way, I'm sure the pipe isn't ours to send it our way. So, again, I'm not, you have to use facts and you have to use reality and you have to look at the grand scheme of things when you make these decisions, and this is a critical decision in my opinion. I think it'll send a message probably more than we comprehend now at this moment, but all I ask is that you get every side of the story. And the 2 points that you brought up in your brief argument are just false. And I'm happy to talk to you. Again, whatever way you vote is your business. I don't know how you tell your residents that we need to raise revenue and drop the water and sewer bill and do everything we can to help provide some relief, and then same year or breath turn around and vote against revenue, but that's your business, not mine, and I guess. So I just want to lay that out there, and that's how it is.
Just, if I could, two other comments. One, I think Councilor Van Buren mentioned stymied by legal counsel, and again, I recognize the somewhat precarious situation I'm in as the city attorney and also the attorney for the town of Oswego. That's why we took pains to keep these relationships separate. Mr. Reynolds negotiated on behalf of the city. I worked with the town to come up with what we thought was the fairest contract. And again, as the mayor pointed out, two fundamental terms of that contract change from years past, resulting in more money to the city of Oswego and more capacity to the town of Oswego. The city of Oswego got more money, the town of Oswego got more capacity. And just to put the capacity issue into context, and Ken Scherble is here from the Camden Group, but we have essentially $1.4 million, or 1.4 million gallons per day of credit, additional capacity that the West Side Sewage Treatment Plant can take in. We're talking about 46,000 gallons per day, 1.4 million gallons, and we're allowing the town an additional 46 of that 1.4 million. It's literally a drop in the bucket from a sewage perspective. The other, and that was a pun intended. Thank you for getting that. The other issue, Councilor Gozick used the word throwing caution to the wind, and again, I say this with respect, but I'm here to make sure that you don't throw caution to the wind and dollars with it, because right now, if the contract were to be rescinded, all apparently under the false pretense that we somehow hid this project that has been on everybody's mind for months now, that won't even, if it were approved any time in the near future, wouldn't break ground until sometime next year, and it's essentially a year and a half, as I understand it, about a year and a half construction. This contract's going to be up before they flush the first toilet over there, or pretty close to it. But if we rescind the contract tonight or by some other action, you're going to lose 87 cents for every 1,000 gallons that you contract with the city or the town of Oswego. Now, I haven't done the math because I just got this resolution about 5 minutes before the meeting started. But projected out over the 2 years of this contract, you're talking tens of thousands of dollars that you're going to give up, that you will give up by rescinding this contract. So you can throw caution to the wind, but when you throw caution to the wind, you're throwing tens of thousands of dollars. And again, I'm not trying to pile on, I'm just trying to give you the reality of this. This will result in a lawsuit. I won't be the attorney handling this, not for the city and not for the town. You'll hire a couple of high-priced lawyers to bang heads and to bring all of this into a court action, and you can add guaranteed several tens of thousands of dollars to those legal bills. So, again, as I said last week, read the sewer agreement, read the sewer law that was adopted in 2009, come up with solutions that you think are fair to everyone. If you take an action tonight that's contrary to your own rules and is contrary to the contract that was entered into and ultimately is harmful to the taxpayers of this community and the town government, I think you're taking several steps backwards when we should all be going forward.
Councilor Emmons.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to motion us to move to executive session because of the legal implications that this contract would do. It is permissible by...
It's certainly permissible, but it's out in the open. I don't know that in executive sessions, to discuss sensitive issues, I mean, these are certainly sensitive issues, but they're out in the open, and I mean, that's your vote, but...
Excuse me. I'd like to call the question and get right to the vote, and let's see where everybody stands.
Sure, as long as you realize that you raised the rates in the contract. You cancel the contract, we're going back down to rates before.
$10.13 per thousand versus $11
Called the
per
question.
thousand.
Just doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
Well, this just to waive the rules. Right? That's the resolution.
So did I get a motion in a second?
Yeah.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 Clerk, please call Resolution 445. Councilor Van Buren, Councilor Gozek. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councilor Cordino. No. Councilor Reynolds.
Yes.
Councilor McLaughlin.
No.
Councilor Emmons.
Yes.
Councilor Walker.
Yes.
Councilor Gozek.
Yes.
Resolution passes 5-2.
Have a motion to adjourn. Councilor Van Buren, Councilor Walker. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Van Buren.
Yes.
Councilor Cordino. Yes. Councilor Reynolds.
Yes.
Councilor McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Councilor Emmons.
Yes.
Councilor Walker.
Yes.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.